Hey guys, it's the Immaculate Threat, Nevaeh Chantel, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Next, there was a lot to cover there. But next, we are wrestling with New Japan Pro Wrestling's New Beginnings USA Tour. There's only really one match that we need to talk about. And while we're at it, we are wrestling with NW, uh, New Japan Pro Wrestling's Castle Attack as well. Um, Starting with New Beginnings, Jon Moxley defeated KENTA in 14 minutes and 25 seconds with a Death Rider. Uh, FTW, FT, uh, WFT. I think that's right. Kaliko, your thoughts on Moxley winning and
Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. Now, you ain't even got to finish the question. I'm just trying to figure out why. Because it just, I got a headache from it. It just like, it boggles the mind. Because we know damn well, you know what's funny? Moxley is going to fuck around and be the longest reigning WWE United States champion and the longest reigning IWGP United States champion. This motherfucker is just like, no shade to him, but it's just like.
Did they keep the belt on him because they don't want him exclusively working for AEW?
No, because they had him under contract first, so it really didn't matter. And to me it just screams fuck Kenny Omega, because in this sense the reason that title even came to be was because of Kenny Omega.
Right.
So it's kind of like fuck Kenny, fuck the American wrestler. The only way I can see this happening is if he's going to be simultaneously on AEW and New Japan USA. That's the only reason I could see this happening. But the problem is that with Kenta, if you gave the belt to Kenta, he had more free reign to go back and forth. Therefore, introducing the American talent that you're training to the Japanese talent that you're going to end up pushing him to.
Right.
So that is where my brain is just like, the saxophone in my head. That's how I feel right now. And I don't know what the end game is for New Japan with this. Maybe they're doing it to keep Kenny footsies-ish, but even then it wouldn't make sense. It doesn't make sense from their long-term goal perspective. And that's it. I'm just going to go get some alcohol. Scooter, take over.
I got nothing to say on this because it really doesn't make any sense for Mox to have retained.
Let me ask you this: is maybe New Japan ahead of the curve on all of us, and a little bit down the line we're gonna have that aha, that's where they were going with it? Or do you think that this was just poor booking?
I think I'm calling it poor booking at this point.
Right, and moving
I'm calling
on.
it bullshit. Bullshit.
Moving on to Castle Attack. Tamatanga Tangaloa, Gorillas of Destiny, defeated Goto and Yoshihashi in 15 minutes and 46 seconds with a gun stun. What are our thoughts on Yoshihashi, Kalika?
Fuck Yoshihashi, so I'm just glad he took an ass whooping. I feel bad saying that. No, I don't. I'm lying like shit, man. Hey.
Coming.
It is what it is.
Next step, Hiroshi Tanahashi defeated the Great Okan in 18 minutes and 44 seconds with a rolling armbar. It's Tanahashi's first defense of the Never Openweight Championship. Uh, what are your thoughts on Tanahashi winning the Never Openweight Championship and defending it against Okan?
If is that to me?
Yeah, Kaliko.
There we go. It's I see where they're going, what they're trying to do, because keep in mind they had when Shingo had it, he was kind of like an up and comer. Naito was kind of like the vet that everyone kind of hovered around. Kind of like he's the main attraction, so Shingo could do his thing and be the workhorse. And now it almost feels like it's the inverse because Tanahashi is a name. So no matter what belt you put on him, I mean, he's the fucking, like we said, he's the John Cena of New Japan. The only difference is he ain't out here trying to do movies. He ain't trying. Well, yeah, that, and he ain't out here trying to like say fuck my career. I'm gonna do movies. So it makes sense in that regard. We'll see where it goes with it because the biggest question is who you gonna lose to? Who's beating Tanahashi for the title? Because the never open weight is one of those where I feel like Zack Sabre Jr. could come out of nowhere, or fucking Will Ospreay could come out of nowhere. You know what I mean? So
I also feel like it's a deeply underrated belt with maybe some of the best matches New Japan's had was for that championship, but it kind of doesn't get that credit because it has the stigma of Never rather than IWGP.
Well, mainly because it's never open weight, so it's like it's not defined. Because I feel like Yoshihashi could win that belt.
I mean, Yoshihashi does have that belt. The 6-man.
My point fucking exactly. So that's why. Because it just feels like any person of any weight class can get it, in a sense.
I'm going to direct this question to Scooter. Now that the Intercontinental Championship is going to be retired, essentially, and we'll get into that in a few moments. Do you see maybe the Neville Championship getting promoted to an IWGP Championship? And maybe that's why they put it on Tanahashi to give it that little extra boost?
No, and it was the wrong title to unify. Quite honestly, it's like Triple H's run with the Intercontinental title in 2001, or Cena's U.S. title run. Yeah, usually ideas like this are from the wrestler themselves. So I wouldn't be surprised if this was Tanahashi's idea, just to maybe stay a bit relevant and elevate said title. I mean, as for it being promoted, no. I mean, it's no one will ever not know it as the Never Open a Book title. But I will say this. Hopefully, Tanahashi is thinking, and New Japan is thinking, that whoever beats him for it is someone they want to put on the path to the main event.
Right. Our next match, the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship match. Hiromu Takahashi and El Phantasmo, your winner, El Desperado. He defeated Bushi and El Phantasmo in 23 minutes and 12 seconds with a Pinche Loco. Did Desperado get this title run because his match with Takahashi in the Budokan, Kaliko?
That could be the case, but it's, I mean, in a sense, I mean, Tanahashi had the belt, but he didn't need it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Well, it seems
he's
that way.
his
He
own.
keeps getting injured when he gets it.
True, but I feel like him putting on awesome match, it kind of gives a great narrative to him actually being injured and fucking getting the belt, because he always says he can come back and get the belt that he never lost. And the people will always be right behind him with him because he's a very, very popular dude. So
Yes.
the issue with that is that you don't want to run the well too many times with it, even though he's legit hurt. And he goes back for the light belt, the junior belt. I feel like he could be a legit heavyweight. I mean, but you know the way New Japan works, their structure. So it's just like I'm patiently waiting for him to go up to heavyweight, because I feel like he's done everything he could in junior. There's nothing else for him to do. He's won Best of the Super Juniors. He's won that belt a gang of times. He's won that belt at Wrestle Kingdom. There's nothing he hasn't done in that division. He just needs to move on.
And what about Dusty? Deserving champion?
Deserving in the sense that people are probably going to chase him for it, and at least they'll come with their best shot for him. So, yeah.
And then we have our main event. Kota Ibushi successfully defended the IWGP Intercontinental Championship against Tetsuya Naito in 27 minutes and 50 seconds with a Kamagoe. After the match with at the anniversary show, which we have not seen yet, the two belts will be unified. And this was the thing that kind of Naito kind of alluded to at the beginning of all of this, was that the Intercontinental Championship maybe didn't necessarily mean a lot to a lot of people other than Nakamura, who kind of took that title as his own. And then it was kind of the side piece to the IWGP championship, and it kind of seemed like for quite some time afterwards, the IWGP, once you won the IWGP championship, once you came down from that, you were given the Intercontinental Championship. Am I wrong or am I right, Kaliko?
Keep in mind, that belt main evented a Wrestle Kingdom, so so everybody talks shit about it. Different time, I get it, but that belt main evented a fucking Wrestle Kingdom, and don't you ever forget that. Once it did it, it's in the books forever. But I mean, yeah, Nakamura was the guy that made that belt, and after he left, it's just like they were just kind of left with who's who of who the hell was going to represent that title, from Kenny Omega to Michael Elgin to fucking Tanahashi. I feel like Nakamura and Naito did the best with that belt.
Yeah.
I feel like that's why Naito got so fucking popular, because he didn't give a shit about the belt to the point where he was at the fucking pawn shop trying to fucking. so, so, so it kind of perplexes me that he goes for a title that he was ready to pawn. I'm just throwing that out there. But I mean, it just depends on what's going to happen as far as. I'm assuming the never open weights now is going to be the workhorse belt. I mean, it always kind of been the workhorse belt. But they were trying to do with the Intercontinental what the WWE did with the Intercontinental, and it just never caught on because it just never had that lineage. Because at least with the Intercontinental Championship, although, you know, Pat Patterson won it in a mysterious tournament in Rio de Janeiro, at least it had a good 40 to 50 years of workhorse people, and it proved to be a step up to the title rather than a step back. And that's where I think they messed up.
Anything you want to add, Scooter?
I mean, nobody really. Well, I can't say that, but the Intercontinental title, in terms of Japan, yeah, I mean, yeah, you know what? I can't add anything to that. Kaliko sums it up perfectly.
Okay. And that will conclude our coverage of New Japan's New Beginnings tour and Castle Attack. Next week on the show, we'll be covering all things New Japan Cup.